to the Yacht Talk podcast. Today we are at Williams Island Marina in Aventura, Florida with Hal and Charlene Smith, which are devoted fishermen and boat owners for many years, and they will talk to us about all their fishing stories from Long Island to Florida. So how are you guys doing?
We're
Very
doing
well.
great.
Awesome.
We're doing great.
It's nice for us to see you again, Marion.
Thank you, and thank you for participating in my podcast. This means so much to me, and I know people are going to be excited to learn all you have to share about fishing. Hal here is known as a fishing magician, and it's not for no reason. He's earned that title through many, many years of experience in fishing, and he's going to tell us all about it. So my first question is to Hal. When was the first time that you remember going on a boat?
I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and we used to go to Long Island, Sea Talkit, and fish in the Long Island Sound, and we would go flounder fishing. We had a little outboard and a little rowboat, and that's kind of where it started. Been boating and fishing ever since. I've personally, Charlene and I have owned 5 boats ourselves. My parents always had boats, my brothers, cousins. It's just been a boating community. Living on Long Island all our lives and growing up, boating was a natural thing. And we, besides boating, we kind of gravitated towards the fishing aspect. I enjoyed it so much as a young fellow that I just continued, and still enjoy it to this day right here in Florida.
Right. Wow, that's great. So my next question, Hal, how many and what kinds of boats have you owned? You just said you have had 5 boats, right?
I started my own boat. My first boat that I owned was a 17-foot Eltro with a 65 horsepower Mercury. That's a plywood boat that was built on Long Island in West Islip. Then we went to an Aquasport center console, and we had a 28-foot Sport Fisherman, then a 34 I had built in East Quogue by the Skopinich family. And most recently, the one I had last when I left Long Island was a 45-foot Lures Fisher Magician also. And we kept that at, now it's known as Oakland's, originally was Nick's, and then Pell's on the Shinnecock Inlet in Hampton Bays. And down in Florida, I said to Charlene, look, we got to downsize a little bit. We don't have the kids with us. It's you and I retired. So I stepped down to a smaller boat in the mid-30s, and we bought an amberjack. And to this day, we still use that boat. We fish often. We go to Bimini a lot. Charlene likes Bimini. I fished there first Yahoo tournament last year, and we did well. And it's what we do. In fact, we had 2 cars at one time. We sold one of the cars because if we go out to dinner or lunch, we take the boat. You know, down here in Florida, everywhere you go, there are restaurants on the water, and docking is available. So that's kind of our main vehicle.
Wow. And another question I have for you: have you always captained your own boats?
Yes. I had what's called a 6-pack license when I was younger. I didn't maintain it when we got down here in Florida, but I had a captain's license in New York, although I did not charter, but I had the license for the knowledge, and I've passed that along to my son. I pretty much run the boat myself, except when my son comes down. He's in New York because he bought our business, and he is the captain when he comes down. Then I can relax.
Nice. That sounds great. Now, my next question is to Charlene. Charlene, were you always in favor of Hal buying boats? Did you always like him going fishing and spending so much time in the water?
I loved it. Matter of fact, I went with them when he picked the boats out. And that's how we got the beautiful boat that we got. But I remember in the mornings always getting up at 4 o'clock to see him off and wish him luck. Go get the big one, honey, go get the big one. And I'd be, every morning that he'd go fishing, I'd be up to make sure I saw him off. And I was thrilled that we owned boats. We had a lot of beautiful times on the boat. Parties. I'm known for my famous margaritas. And we'd go and we'd have parties on the boat. We'd have the family come, and the kids would dive off the dock, and we'd go for rides, and it was just so enjoyable. I can't imagine being without a boat.
Yes, no, I understand. That's beautiful. And on the same line, I was going to ask you, what role has boating played in your family life? How do you think your family life would have been different if it weren't for the whole boating and ocean experience?
Couldn't imagine it.
I think it would have been boring. Boring to say the least, because the kids enjoyed it as much as us. So that worked, and thank goodness, none of them got seasick.
Oh, that's
The
important.
only one that got seasick was our dog, Missy. Yeah. So we were very fortunate that way that the kids loved the boating too.
And when your kids were growing up, did you go boating every weekend or how often?
Every weekend we'd be out at the Hamptons, and the kids would come with us occasionally, most of the time.
We'd go to Montauk a lot in Block Island.
Block Island. Oh, we've been so many places with the boat. It's like I said, I'm repeating myself. Couldn't imagine being without a boat.
That's
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
brought us all closer, and the kids are really into the fishing.
Yeah.
They love it. They love the boat as much as we do, so that's a big plus.
It's important to have an activity that the kids enjoy
They
so
love
they can
it.
do something together with the family, right? To keep
Now-
the family together.
Absolutely.
Now my granddaughter is the captain of driving the boat and doing the fishing things. She got
Wow.
fishing rods, and she's loving it. So that's another generation
Oh,
that's going to be doing the same thing.
amazing.
And she loves it. I mean, she go on the dock and off the boat and
She's 8
catch
years old.
fish.
She's 8 years old and she
She's
knows,
been catching
she
fish
knows
since
the buoys.
she's 6 years old.
Wow.
she knows which buoys, the red and green, red on right returning. I've taught her quite a lot. At 8 years old, she's quite the little captain.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
very astute.
We have 3 other grandchildren in New York. I have to mention them, but unfortunately they're in New York, so
But do they come on vacations?
they come as often as they can. But it's been quite a while since they've been with us, so we
It's
gotta
hard.
get them down here, you know.
Yeah,
Because I
definitely.
know they're gonna love the boat just as much.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's fun for the kids. Okay, and now a question to both of you. So we will start with Hal and then Charlene. You will both give me your answers. Where have you been on your boats? Well, you've both been to the same places, I guess, right?
Yes. We do
Better
everything,
have been.
we do everything together. We're married 47 years. I met her as a teenager, and I was smitten, and she's still with me, so I've done something right. But when we were on Long Island, we were in Shinnecock and Hampton Bays, and we go to Montauk often. Gurney's is comes to mind. We used to like to go with friends, 4 or 5 boats,
Block
go to
Island.
Block Island at Chapman's and raft up for a weekend and bring the kids with us. And on Block Island, you could go horseback riding on the beach. There were so many other activities besides fishing. And of course, we fished a lot of the tournaments along the way over the years. But yeah, we've down here in Florida. Our big thing now is we go to Bimini a lot because I like the fishing over there is far superior than here. I fished their first Wahoo tournament last year, and we did well. They also built a new hotel and marina in Bimini,
It's
at Hilton.
gorgeous.
And it is gorgeous, and we go there quite often for a long weekend or for several days. And it's nice. It's only a 2-hour boat ride out of Hillsborough Inlet. And where else? We go to Ocean Reef, go up to Lauderdale a lot, up to Boca. On the Florida coast.
And the most fun we have is when we go to our little island. It's Sandbar.
Oh, in
And-
all over, right?
Yes.
All over, yes, you know it.
Yes, of
Oh, we've
course.
had many, many, many good times there.
We bought the big
And
raft.
many, many margaritas, huh?
We bought the margaritas are for her. I don't drink when I'm running the boat. That's very important.
Yeah.
And I instill that in my children. And to this day, they'll tell you, Dad, I'll have a drink with anybody, but if I'm driving the boat or running the boat or we're fishing, no drinking. But anyhow, that being the case, we bought a large raft, a 6-person raft. And you tie it up. You're in the water that's chest deep, and you float around. You have some food, and you enjoy the company. You put some music on, and it's just an enjoyable, quiet afternoon.
We've also done the Air and Sea Show
Many years.
on the boat. It's so exciting. We've seen it many times, but seeing it from the boat is totally
Wow.
another experience. I mean, up
Absolutely.
close.
Yeah. What about the fireworks on the 4th of July?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's amazing to see on the water too.
It is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
It's
then-
party time. I mean, it's Absolutely.
Another nice thing, besides fishing on the boat, I have several friends, but two very good friends that are divers. Captain Guy and my friend Jim Norton, and we go out often all over inlet here, and we've got several spots we've found over the years, and we're in somewhere 20 to 40 feet of water,
Don't
and we
forget
dive
Holly.
during lobster season, and we dive for lobsters.
Wow.
And we're doing quite well doing that. It's kind of a break from fishing, and it is kind of fishing. You're on the water. I stay on the boat and kind of move around slowly and keep an eye on them, see where their flags are, keep them close, make sure no other boats disturb them while they're diving. And that's kind of a fun thing, and it's a nice thing, because if you go early in the morning, you're home by lunch.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an all-day thing. You bring 2 tanks of air, which is about 50 minutes a tank. So 2 hours or less of actual diving to get the lobsters. And in fact, that season just closed March 31st, and there'll be a third week in July. There'll be a little mini season for 2 days, and then it'll open up in August, from August to March. And it's a break from fishing. We'll do a little bit of both.
Nice.
What about my snorkeling? When I go snorkeling out in Bimini, they have a ship. What's the name of it?
The ship in Bimini is Sapona.
The Sapona. And oh, it's just beautiful. That's my thing. I love to snorkel.
Wow.
Yeah,
The amazing things that you see in that water.
It was built by I think World War II, and it was used as a rum runner during the Prohibition. Well, that would be before World War II. That was in the 30s, so it was built probably World War I then, because it was used, and it got hung up in a hurricane and wound up on the sand right off Bimini. It's 3 miles from the island. And I guess they've tried to move it several times. It's a concrete ship. During the war effort, steel was so important to the war effort that they actually made ships out of concrete.
Wow.
It's a concrete ship, and it's been sitting there ever since. And it's in 15 feet of water, so it's been perfect for snorkeling, crystal clear, and it draws a lot of the natural fish into it, and the snorkeling is just spectacular.
Wow.
It sure is. All I'm trying to say is there are so many things that you can do
Having a boat.
Yeah.
It's just, you can go on and on and on, but you wouldn't have enough time to hear all the stories.
Charlene said to me recently, we're gonna go to Bimini, and she said, I said, it's gonna be a little windy, I don't wanna go across and get beat up, it's gotta be calm. She said, well, we could always get on a seaplane and fly. I says, not the same. If I can't take the boat, I don't want to go. The whole point is the enjoyment of the boat.
Yeah.
I enjoy the boat ride over to Bimini as much as being there.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Being on the ocean, right? Where
Oh,
nothing is
absolutely.
close and you just
So
see water.
peaceful, and you haven't got a care in the world when you're out there. It's just
And
beautiful.
again, the fishing is much better over there.
Okay, so next question. Hal, can you please share with us your favorite fishing story?
Okay, yes I can. My favorite story is, this is mid-80s. We were down in Florida, and Charlene was trying to get me really hooked into being in Florida a lot. And I had a friend that fished in the summertime up in the Hamptons, and wintertime in Pompano at a Hillsborough Inlet. It was called Fish City Marina. And Charlene set it up, his name was Brad Terry. She set up with Brad for me to take him fishing. It happened to be the day after my birthday. And it was a rainy day, and it wasn't, but we went anyhow. It was rough. And believe it or not, we caught a 267-pound blue marlin.
Wow.
And I've got pictures to prove it. And that was probably as big a fish as I've caught, and most spectacular fish is a blue marlin. In those days, today you release them. In those days, we kept the fish. And it was eaten. But that was a special trip, because number one, it was with a friend. Number two, Charlene set it up for me. And again, that's a fish of a lifetime.
And I got them hooked on Florida.
Yes.
Was my main intention. And
She
it
did.
worked.
She did.
Let's show the picture because it's amazing. It's like bigger than you, the fish, right?
Well,
I'll take the camera and just put it on the
other
picture.
one.
But I don't know. Maybe a fish that size, you'll wind up with 80 pounds of actual edible product.
Wow, 80 pounds. So you end up freezing most of it, I guess, right?
Well, Yes, and you give a lot away. Fish, I don't like to freeze
freeze.
fish. Some do and some don't, but we like to catch a fish if we can.
Yeah.
Nice. That's an amazing story.
It was kind of special, yeah. And I've caught a lot of fish over the years. Fished many, many tournaments. On Long Island, Mako tournaments are very, very popular. Bayshore Mako tournament used to be the first tournament of the year. We'd fish that, then Mauritius. And of course, Montauk tournaments. So we've caught a lot of
What
Mako
about-
sharks over the year, and they're of course edible.
What about Oakland's?
Oakland's had the tournament
Oakland's
also.
Riverina
That
and
was good.
Malema. I know that the people from New York know Oakland's. It's very, very well known. And that's where we kept our boat, and that's where we enjoyed our weekends. It was great.
Yep.
Good
Nice.
times, good times.
I would fish with my son and my nephews and cousins on a Saturday. And Charlene would come out 4 or 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon and meet us when we come back from fishing, and the boys would wash the boat, as a courtesy to me for taking them fishing. And then Charlene and I would spruce up and have dinner at the restaurant there, and then Sunday would be family day. If the children wanted to come back out and go for a boat ride or do something, so it's kind of like, on Long Island, it was a Saturday was the guys' day for fishing, and Sunday was whatever Charlene wanted to do with the children.
And we had the beach right across the street. Anyone that knows Oakland's knows this. And they have a beautiful outside bar where you can see a sunset that's just out of this world. Right, honey?
Yep.
The sunset.
But it's still not as nice as Florida.
Yeah, we
It's cold.
love Florida.
Yeah, the weather here is unbeatable, right?
It's spectacular, yes. I was born to be in the warm weather, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can boat all year long here.
That's
And I
the
got them
beauty.
hooked by a simple fish.
Yeah.
I got them hooked to Florida.
It's true.
We didn't even know I knew where it was on the map, but he had never been.
And what's
So I
nice
had
to
hook
know,
'em in. I had to hook 'em.
what's nice to know, with all my years of fishing, and I think of the fishing we did on Long Island when we trolled the canyons for yellowfin tuna and big-eye tuna, and then come down to Florida and fishing, no matter where you go. When we go to Bimini, I've been to Hawaii fishing. She's had me at Walker's Cay where I caught an 87-pound wahoo on the Duchess with Captain Bill Black. At Walker's Cay, that's gone now from a hurricane. The island itself is demolished. But that being the case, fishing is so similar no matter where you go. Once you learn what lures to use, the technique is pretty much the same worldwide. Trolling is what we like to do, or for sail fishing, we like to kite fish, and I could go on forever about these different techniques. But different places I've fished over the years, even Cayman Islands, we fished. I went to Cayman Islands and fished. It's pretty much universal. It's pretty much universal. If you can fish, let's say we started in New York, Long Island, and you learn the techniques to fish the canyons and troll for the tuna, that knowledge is universal. You go to Cayman Island, you go to Walker's Cay, or Bimini we were talking about, Nassau we go to. I've even been to Hawaii, as I said. Fishing's pretty much the same. It's
Tell her
Interesting.
about the canyon where you go on the tournaments. That's the one thing I would not do with them because it's dark. It's in blackness.
the overnight tournaments, yeah.
Overnight tournaments, and then we'd have a huge party after these tournaments.
Yep.
And they'd hang the fish up, and you get the crowds that would come. It was just amazing, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we'd have a big tournament party afterwards, and they give out awards, and of course, these won several.
Wow.
Yeah,
several
I've got a
awards.
few trophies over the years,
Oh yeah.
but
Definitely.
fishing's always been in our blood, that's for sure.
And would you like to tell us the story of how you got the title of the fishing magician? I'm curious about that.
That's from my brother-in-law. Dennis was my best fishing pal on Long Island growing up in the 70s. He and I fished exclusively, and his dad had just retired, Buddy Lamb. My brother-in-law's name is Dennis Lamb. His dad had just retired. He had a couple of friends, and they bought a runabout, and they were fishing in the Long Island Sound. They couldn't catch a fish, and Dennis comes to me one day and says, "Hal, let's take my father and his buddies out fishing." He says, "These guys can't catch a fish." And I said, "Okay." So we stopped, and we got the proper bait, and the proper hooks, and the proper tackle, which they didn't have. And we went out, and for whatever reason, the Lord was with me that day, or good luck, we went flounder fishing, blackback flounder, not the fluke that we have, but flounder fishing. If we caught one, we caught 50. We couldn't do anything wrong. And at the end of the day, Dennis's retired dad, Buddy Lamb, turned around and said, Hal, fishing with you is like fishing with the magician, the fish we caught. And that name just stuck with me forever. In fact, we wound up naming our boat Fishing Magician. And that's where the name came from.
Oh,
Just
that's
on
very
a
cute.
lucky fishing day.
Yeah, nice. But it's not just luck, right? You knew what you were doing.
Well, yeah, we knew what we were doing, but you still got to stop in the right place.
Yeah.
You got to be in the right area.
Yeah, of course. It's
That's
all-
why
And you have to know
that's
what
why
you're
we like to troll so much when we fish, rather than, if you fish live bait, you really can't troll at a speed like 6 or 7 knots to cover a lot of ground, because you kill the bait. So kite fishing, you drift, and that's a particular area, but when you're trolling, you're covering a lot of ground over a period of time where you have a better chance of coming into an area where there are fish. You look for signs, you look for birds that are diving, feeding on the weed lines. Weed lines themselves, bait fish will lay under the big mats of weeds, and of course where the bait fish are, the larger fish come after them. We were trolling last year, and believe it or not, we come across the size of this table, a dining room table, a piece of dock. Had cleats and everything on it. It looked like it belonged to somebody's backyard. Floating in the ocean, piece of dock. We trolled around that thing 5 or 6 times, every time multiple knockdowns.
Wow.
It was loaded with dolphin underneath. Yeah,
Wow.
mahi, dolphin the fish.
Yeah.
And so any kind of debris you look for, any kind of structure in the water, birds working, is why you want to devote your energy or devote your area for fishing.
Wow. Great. Okay, next question. Hal, did you ever go on fishing tournaments? I know Charlene was talking about the fishing tournaments that were at night, right?
Yes. We used to do the overnight tournaments out of Montauk, and they're pretty grueling, you're fishing all night long. But down here, let's talk to Florida now. I just mentioned last year, Bimini had their first Wahoo tournament, which we entered, we fished that. And recently I haven't done much tournament fishing here in Florida, but going back years ago, when I say years ago, 5, 6 years ago, we used to fish the Miami tournament. We used to fish the Hillsborough Fish City Marina tournament. We went up to Boca a couple of times. So we did fish tournaments down here, but to a lesser degree than, and we're getting older. It's more strenuous, especially if you have a tournament where you have to report in and out of the same marina. For instance, a lot of tournaments today, which is convenient, you with radio contact and cell phones or whatever, they'll let you fish or tell you on the radio when it's time to fish, but we can fish out of it, let's say, Port Everglades, where we are, is Hallover Inlet, or let's say Government Cut, which is Miami. Even though the tournament is centered in Miami Beach Marina, you still could leave at 3 different or 4 different inlets and fish for the day. Now, if you catch a big fish and you want to weigh it, you've got to go into Miami and weigh it, which makes sense. But if you have a day where you don't have good luck and you don't catch something you feel is going to be a winning fish, you don't have to go to Miami. You can go back in your own port. So that's a very nice feature on tournaments they here in Florida that they did not do in New York. So we like that feature. If there's a tournament, you can fish out of your own particular inlet.
More convenient.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would go in the mornings before he took off, before they blew the whistle, and that we'd have coffee and breakfast on the dock, and the wives would come and say, good luck, and we'd see them off, and it was just something we looked forward to. It was
Yeah.
really nice, from beginning to end, from the breakfast,
Really nice if you win.
the fishing, to the party afterwards. I mean, it was good times, great tournaments,
Yes.
great tournaments. Right, Ed?
I agree, absolutely.
Amazing. And did you take your kids fishing when they were little?
Yes. They grew up on the water with us, yes. Maybe Tara's a little older. Tara's 3 years older than my son, who's the middle child, and Erica's our baby. But I would say 6, 7 years oldish. We started going out to, we said we were in the Hamptons at that time. Before it was Oakland's, we stayed at Jackson's and different marinas, but as long as we had the boat and the ability, the children came with us, and they enjoyed it, and we would stay on the boat and fish, you know, with the children. We stayed in, what's called inshore. We would fish for the flounder and the fish that are close to the beach. I wasn't at their age taking them to the canyons. But yeah, they've fished with us since the beginning, and they're good fishermen. My son is excellent, and my daughters, and yes.
That's great.
We took them early on.
Okay, and is there any advice that you would like to give to other fishing lovers that are listening to this podcast? From your experience with family, with the different places that you have been fishing?
I would say if you come to an area, I'm thinking back when I came to Florida, I was a novice in Florida. As I mentioned earlier, fishing is pretty much universal, it's the technique. But you talk to people, and maybe the local bait store, you know, they're always looking to give you information. They want to sell you the right lure, the right bait, so you know it's good for their business. And I did that, and spoke to local captains. So what I'm trying to say is learn the area, learn where to go, approximately. It's never a specific spot. Learn the area, learn the right tackle, the right lures, the right bait, and be tenacious. Work at it. Patient, and sooner or later, hopefully sooner, the big one will come along.
Thank you, Hal.
Just learn, basically what I'm saying is just learn the area, you know, where you're gonna fish, and get as much information is as important as anything.
And the local bait store is a good place to ask.
Always is. He's looking first off to sell bait, he wants to sell lures, and he, you know, he's gonna give you the up-to-date information, because he's hearing from the captains come in all the time. And if you're successful, he's successful. You're going to come back and buy more. So yeah, I find that no matter where I go, even if we go into Bimini, we did that Wahoo tournament last year. First thing I did was in the marina at the Hilton. We stayed at the Mega Marina. As I went, I asked the dockmaster. I said, "Who's the best fisherman?" And he gave me a name. His name was Chris. And I went up to him and I talked to him. You know, I bought him a drink. We talked a little bit. But I got a lot of information from him, so the next day I wasn't leaving the marina blind. And yeah, that would be my key advice. Learn the area.
Okay. And is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Any story that you want to share that we missed? Anything else?
No, I could talk to you all day on that. No, I find that over the years I keep a logbook on fishing trips and what we caught, bait we used, things like that. And it's very good as a reference point to look back on what you did, say, 2 years ago or a year ago on catching fish here. I'm just giving you an example. Here's a trip we did on July 29th on a Saturday where we went trolling, and I had who's on board the boat, what the bait was written out, what lures we used, the compass reading we ran, how far we ran, how many miles, and what we caught. A bonita, 2 yellowfin tuna, 130 pounds, 160 pounds, and weather was at 85 degrees and sunny. The wind was from the north in the morning and turned southwest in the afternoon. And by doing this, it's a great reference. You can see the book. It's a great reference to look back on and recollect. Gee, we're going to be in this area. What have I done in this area recently or caught here? And I find it very helpful. In fact, my son, when he comes down, when we go fishing, he'll take the book out and he'll look at what we did last year, let's say, in a particular area. So it's just something that I started doing many, many years ago, and I've continued with it. And I do use it as a reference point. It's just something I personally like to do.
Yeah, to compare, right?
Yes.
And to know where the fish are, and then go back and
The
hopefully
fish
they'll
move
still
around,
be
but
there.
still, it's nice to have a logbook. I think
We
so.
get ended by showing that one picture of,
The big one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That
I
Charlene
think
made
that
for you.
would
I'll
be
show it on
good.
the
This
video.
one here,
Yeah.
this is a big eye. This was a.
it's self-explanatory.
This is no, but I'll tell you what species. This is a 216-pound big eye tuna, which is a species
not
equivalent.
really.
That's a picture Charlene had made for me as a wall plaque. That's a 216-pound big eye tuna we caught in the Hudson Canyon off Long Island many, many years ago when I was a young man.
And it says the difference between men and boys is the size and price of their toys.
Correct. If you want to be a fisherman, it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is to own an airplane, but it can't be more expensive than owning a boat.
I'm not sure, yeah, but owning a boat, I know it's an expensive
with the
hobby, but
boats
worth
on
it, right?
No, absolutely.
It's, you know, I said to Charlene, I don't know, a few years back, I don't know what even got into me. I said, maybe we should think about, you know, selling. She looked at me and she said, you sell a boat, might as well just bury it. What are you gonna do?
It's true, I mean,
We've always had the boat.
Oh,
But,
that's beautiful. Thank
Yes,
you guys for your stories.
oh, no, this is
This is
a wonderful
so
interview.
nice.
It's such a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
meeting you, Mariam.
You
And
guys
I
have
thank
a
you.
wonderful family.
oh,
And
thank you.
it's heartwarming to listen to how you guys support each other and do everything together, and how you took your kids and you taught them how to fish, and you have
Now our grandchildren,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
We have a new friend now, Mariam.
yes. So do I. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll see each other soon.
Yes, we enjoyed it.
You're very welcome, thank you.
All right.
Okay.